What's up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? My name is Naomi. Welcome to House of Miscellania. Today I'm coming at you with my weekly WIP and chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress, and I'm going to work on at least one or two of these National Parks edition diamond painting. Diamond paintings. Oh my God. Let me just. Okay. So, I'm going to chat with you for about an hour once I've apparently got my crap together. I don't even know what my issue is. Forget it. We're not starting over. We're leaving it. Anyways, let me go over my tools that I'm going to be using. I'll get into that in just a minute. So I have a pen here that I'm going to be using. It is from Diamond Pen Pal. I know I've been using a lot of their pens lately, but as you can see, like, it is a big, thick, chunky pen, and I've been having a lot of carpal tunnel issues in my right hand, and so I've been using their big old pens. This one in particular is actually a very special pen from Diamond Pen Pal. On this side, it has some hydrangea flowers, but on the opposite side, it has Ajacai by Margaret Morales. This was actually a very special pen that was created for Mary Morales, which went on in December of last year and will be going on in December of this year. But I wanted to do something a little different, so I'm going to use this beauty. Look at it's got the artwork in there. That is with special permission from Margaret. This isn't something that you would be able to get normally without an artist's permission. And the deal was that they made one for me and they made one for the grand prize winner. So anyways, this pen from Diamond Pen Pal. And then in my single placer, I've got Ghost from Diamond Painting Daily. They're on Etsy. That's where you can also find Diamond Pen Pal. And then in my multi-placer, I'm going to be using Putty Crocker's Easter Bouquet. It's mangled. It's almost gone, but I'm going to use the rest of it. And then I have a tray here from Firefly. Firefly is over on fireflyda.com. It has a removable lid, which I will remove. A removable trash tray, which as you can see has a little bit of trash in it. And then it has an open and close pour spout, which I absolutely love, along with a little hole in the top here that you can put your pen in so your pen doesn't roll away. Pretty handy. The tarot cards, for those of you who are not familiar with my WIP and chats, that's actually going to come in at the end or near the end. I read a tarot card, which will give us a thought for the week. I've already shuffled them. They're ready to go. So sorry about the rocky start there. I don't know what the hell my problem is. I feel a little goofy, I guess. All right, we get to pick what one I'm going to do because I've done 5 out of the 10 from this set from Paint Gem. Now, if you want to go and check out Paint Gem, you can go to paintgem.com. They are miniature diamond paintings, and you can get miniatures from a lot of different places now. I know Diamond Art Club offers them, Jada Gem Shop, a lot of shops. The one with the diamond art. There's also a Pretty Little Gem, I think, is another Paint Gem like company that you can get them from. But right now, Paint Gem is running some really like phenomenal deals where you can pick up certain sets for $19.95. And some of the sets that they offer have like 16 diamond paintings in them. So it's like a phenomenal deal. This set, though, all Paint Gems come with their own canvas bag with your little tool set. I don't use the tools that are in here. I set those aside. And then you get your like little packet here that has all of your diamond paintings in it. But because I've completed some, those are right here. Look at them, though. Aren't they cute? Now, this one is the National Parks edition. So I actually have completed, this one is Zion. And I've never been to any of these places. So there you go. Glacier Bay. And this is Yellowstone. That's supposed to be Old Faithful. volcano. And then I have actually been to the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. That's the only one I've been to, though. And then I've got 5 others in here that we're going to pick from, but let me go ahead and grab my baggies. I just leave these in bags because I don't see much point in kitting it up. You could, though. You could kit up if you wanted to. I just don't. I just don't waste the time because usually I'm traveling with them anyways. They're really, like, you can use a clipboard or whatever and work on them in the car, which I really like. So what I do with paint gems, I don't know why, this is something I do. Maybe you do something similar. When I get these, like, I kind of look them over and see which ones I like the best. And then I do those ones last, like dead last. And so usually the ones that I have left are the ones that I want to do later. So I'm thinking I'll work on this one because I'd like to save Joshua Tree and this American Samoa. I want to save those for near last, along with Acadia. So maybe after this one, I'll do Grand Canyon. If we have time, we'll end up doing 2 or 1.5 or whatever. But I'm going to work on the arches, which are in, oh gosh, I don't even know. Is that Utah, maybe? Hold on. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. The Arches National Park is in Utah. So anyways, that. And then I'm using my little container here from Dollar Tree. It's a little thing that I use to keep my little baggies into. Anyways, so how has your week been? I know the last time that I had a whip and chat, if you follow along and you watch my whip and chats each week, you know that last week was sort of an all over the map kind of week for me, like feelings wise. I've been kind of keeping to myself. Look at this poor mangled. It's terrible. Okay, sorry. I'm just really rough on my putties, and this one is almost gone, as you can see. So I just, oh goodness. I've been in a better mood, I can say. I have still been kind of keeping to myself. And that's just mostly because I have been, I don't know, pensive, right? So what exactly does that mean, you know, to be pensive? Well, if you guys have seen Harry Potter, there is a actual pensive, which is like where memories are kept, and the liquid looks all like liquid mercury and it's all crazy looking, but it's where memories are kept. Well, in the context of Harry Potter, it's a magical device, but in, you know, actual feeling, it's it means to be thoughtful, or like a dictionary definition is like maybe sad thoughtfulness, or musingly or dreamingly thoughtful. It's like being in thought, right? Well, I've been kind of in my thoughts, and so I've been keeping kind of to myself. And sometimes that can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like I was saying last time that, you know, usually when you are an addict who is in recovery, being alone is being with your absolute worst enemy, because the whole idle hands sort of idea that, you know, if you are too idle, that you can get yourself into trouble, which can be the case. Sometimes I think that early in recovery, maybe that was an issue. Obviously not so much now. I've been sober going on 6 years now, so it's not so much an issue, but it can still be a bad idea to be alone with my thoughts, depending on, what I'm thinking about. And in this case, though, I've got, my family is always around. I'm never actually alone. Now, whether or not I'm maybe engaging as much as I normally would do during the times when I'm kind of in my own thoughts is really the question, because honestly, I don't think I'm alone in my house ever. It's either the kids are here, Dustin's here, I'm never on my own. Not a problem. It isn't something that I, resent or whatever. It's just kind of the way it normally goes. Uh, but I do tend to, um, I'll put on headphones and listen to things, watch programs. And last time that I had my whip and chat, I had talked about some of the things that I'd been watching or listening to. I've been listening to music, which I don't do as much anymore. I listen to music like when I'm in the car, but more or less when I'm diamond painting, I'm watching something. Well, watching something. I'm listening to something because, it's hard to watch something while you're diamond painting. You can kind of, look up and whatever, but more or less it's something you're just listening to. Well, I have been continuing to watch a lot of things, which I will talk about, but not right this minute. Um, I had, oh my gosh, for the first time in a long time, it's probably been a year, I had a migraine. Oh man. Now I have experienced in the last year what's called migraine aura. And for people who are unfamiliar with what migraine aura is, if you've had migraine aura, you know what I'm talking about. It's like wacky colors and shapes. There's this weird, like, it starts out as a dot usually in your vision that looks like it's flashing a bunch of colors, and then it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it grows into like a shape that looks sort of like a C or an L. Sometimes it's different for different people, or it's just a line. And it causes you also usually on the outsides of your vision, like your peripherals start to shrink down into like it's black out here and you can't see very well. Well, the first time that it happened, and I've talked about it on past whip and chats, I like legit thought I was having a stroke. Well, I've had plenty of migraine aura without migraine, where I would get the visuals and stuff, but I wouldn't have a migraine, which is still, I mean, granted, yeah, not having a migraine was great, but having like the visuals, like you almost are incapacitated. You wouldn't be able to drive. You can't really walk. It's not safe to go out and walk around because you can't see very well. And then basically all you can do is like lay in bed. You can't watch anything because it is actually kind of painful to try and watch something. So you just lay down when you have migraine aura. That's about all you can do. You can listen to things, but, well, we had this big weather shift happen last week. It went from like down in the 30s in temperature, 30 degrees, not Celsius, in Fahrenheit, and went up to like 70 degrees in a matter of a couple of days. It felt like a summer day. It was crazy. And it's March in Wisconsin. That's just not necessarily normal for us to get summer like weather in March. And so I had also been working on cutting down on my caffeine, which I'm doing okay. I consume about a liter maybe of Mountain Dew throughout the whole day. Um, which is down from where I was, like, majorly. Sorry, I need to get a drink. But I have really only been drinking maybe that much, where, like, I would drink, 5 or 6 cans, 7 cans a day. And actually, it usually takes me the better part of a day and a half to finish a liter. So I thought, well, maybe my migraine came from that. And then, like I said, we had this spike in weather. Well, it also caused this pressure system. Well, I had taken a migraine pill because I got Aura. This was on, I think, Tuesday last week. I can't remember the day of the week that it was, but no, it wouldn't have been Tuesday. It wasn't during a live because maybe it was Friday. Anyways, doesn't even matter. Well, whatever day I went and got my nails done was the next day. So maybe it was Friday into Saturday. That's what it was. So anyhow, I started to get migraine Aura, and then I got an actual migraine. So I was like, this was maybe 4 in the afternoon. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead, take a migraine pill, and lay down and try to get, some rest or something, because this is just not stopping. So I went to bed. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon. I remember getting up later in the evening to go to the bathroom, and then basically went right back into the bed. Well, so meanwhile, while I was sleeping, and I slept through the whole thing, we just had like this warm front and a cold front which collided, just, whatever. And we started getting this really awful windstorm, which actually did quite a bit of damage in town and around, the state, because of this pressure system, which is where I'm assuming the migraine probably came from, was just this barometric poop show. And so I slept through this really horrible windstorm. I remember waking up at, I don't know, it was probably 4:30 in the morning the next morning, because I had slept basically the better part of the whole, like 12 hours with this migraine. And I got up to go for a walk just around the block like I usually do, and Beans was, sniffing on me, letting me know he wanted to go to the bathroom. So I took him along with me, and one from the day before, which was, like I said, in the 70s, the temperature was like, I don't know, back down into the 30s again. So when I walked out to the driveway, going out my back door, I saw this humongous, like, I wouldn't even call it a branch. It was basically a log fell out of the tree in, like, on my neighbor's terrace. So, like, right next to my house is my driveway, okay? And, like, my back door is here. I park my car right here next to the back door, and then Dustin's car is parked here in the driveway, side by side. And the log, I'm telling you, it was like this big around. It was the log that came out of the tree had fallen into the driveway, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, I'm checking my window, I'm checking Dustin's window to see if anything was broken, because this sucker falling looked like it would have really done some damage, and I couldn't see anything. So I was like, okay, I kind of took for granted, like, okay, maybe it didn't do any damage, maybe it just, fell actually in the driveway and broke up in the driveway, because it was in several pieces. So I moved it out of the driveway. I moved it away from the cars, because I didn't want anybody to, trip over, like Dustin to trip over it when he went into his car in a couple of hours to go to work, and didn't really think much more about it. Well, I went for a walk and ended up seeing that there was a lot of downed trees, downed limbs, things like that. And I was like, oh my God, I slept through all of this. Like, I heard nothing. Well, one of the kids told me that at one point it felt like the house was like shaking almost, which tracks because the next day when I went to go get my nails done, I had an appointment in later morning, and while I'm seated there getting my nails done, I look across the street, and Dustin, my husband, he works for a car dealer, and they have a lot of lots and things like that throughout the city that they sell from, whatever. And one of them happens to be across the street from where I was getting my nails done. And I noticed that they're like boarding up essentially the whole side of one of the showrooms. And come to find out that the wind was so bad, like when you go to a dealership, they have the windows that are basically like floor to ceiling windows and like a whole wall of windows. Well, the wind was so bad that it actually blew the glass out of this particular showroom. Just blew the glass right out of it. Like, it was a crazy bad windstorm that I apparently just slept all the way through, which I guess I'm thankful for that. It didn't wake me up at all, but it did cause a really incredible migraine. So for those of you who suffer with migraines, it's hard when with climate change, especially like here in the Midwest, it is unseasonably warm, even for March. It's pretty crazy how warm it has been. With all of the barometric changes that happen, especially in spring and throughout spring, it's supposed to be a really, really bad year for migraine sufferers. And then of course you've got pollens and things like that already kicking into high gear. Like, I've seen robins already, which in Wisconsin, seeing robins in early March is not typical. I mean, it's not completely unheard of, but it has been earlier and earlier and earlier that we've seen robins show up. So that probably means that we're going to start seeing pelicans show up again, which I am excited about because we do like to do bird watching around here. But yeah, so that was that happened over the weekend. Just crazy bad storm. Oh, and there's my toilet deciding to run for no reason. I have a bathroom that's like basically across from the table where I'm sitting at. There's a room in the corner that's this little teeny tiny bathroom, and occasionally the toilet just decides to start running for no reason. It's gonna be one of those days, I guess, a toilet running kind of day. Sorry, there's these little nubs on the corners that drives me nuts. I don't like them. I don't generally have tons of garbage with the paint gem, but it always seems to be little tabby things on the corners when I do have them. Oh, Bowie's over on the stairs making mouth noises. Just a noisier whip and chat night, I guess, for whatever reason. But anyway, so yeah, if you're a migraine sufferer, it's supposed to be not a great year for us, which I am not exactly looking forward to. Ugh. I don't love that, but, what can you do about it? Actually, I'm looking at all of the, like, I was looking through, the National Parks edition, this one, and then I also have number 4. And I was looking through some of the places in the National Parks editions, and I've realized, like, how very little of the United States that I've actually, like, seen as an adult, because I don't go anywhere. One, like, I'm broke. you know what I mean? Like, been broke for a long time. So a lot of the sightseeing and trips that we go on tend to be in state, because that's kind of like what we can afford to do, is going places in state. But I do want to get to some of these places. I've been I've been to like I've been places when I was a kid, but my mom was not much of a like let's go on vacation type person unless we were going to visit family or something like that out of state in Michigan, which is like a 4.5, 5 hour drive. Completely doable sort of trip. Doesn't cost too much money. Isn't so big a deal sort of thing. But, you know, as an adult, never really went on a lot of vacations as a kid, and haven't been on a lot of vacations as an adult. And I envy people who have been like out of country, things like that. We lived out of country when I was little because my dad was military, and we were all over the United States because my dad was a computer programmer in the 80s in the military. And so, you know, we would do a lot of traveling for that. But it wasn't something that, you know, I remember a whole lot of, because by the time I was 7, my parents divorced and my mom and I moved to Wisconsin. So, really just haven't seen a lot of things. And so I do envy those people who have gone out of country and have seen, you know, other parts of the world. I have seen a lot of the state that I live in. And, you know, like, I know people who live 2 hours away from the Grand Canyon and have never been to it. And so on the one hand, I'm sort of like, what the hell, man? Like, you live 2 hours away from it and you've never been to it? I can't even imagine not being all over the state that you live in. But there are a lot of people who have never been anywhere outside of, you know, their neighborhood. So I am very grateful that I've seen a lot of Wisconsin, and I do really love it here. I love the fact that, you know, I can drive 4 hours in every direction except south. There's a reason for that, which I'll explain in a minute, but you can drive just about 4 hours in any direction in Wisconsin and see something completely different. I mean, we've got a Great Lake, 2 actually, that are connected to the state, that, you know, are absolutely gorgeous. And like the coastal towns and cities along that Great Lake are absolutely beautiful, quaint little places. We've got Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. That would be, Lake Superior is directly north of me at the top of the state. And then Lake Michigan, I can get to in a couple of, you know, an hour and 15 minutes going like due east. And then to the west of me, there's all of the Kettle Moraine. There is to the east as well, but areas like New Glarus, which look like something out of The Hobbit. It's crazy. We have, you know, north and west of here is Spring Green or Dodgeville area, which is our high desert that we have here in Wisconsin. We actually have a high desert in Wisconsin. Not like a sandy type desert, but a high desert, like really scrubby, lots of bluff. It's very arid climate in the summer. It's interesting that Wisconsin has its own desert. Because, you know, when in my mind, when I picture a desert, I picture like Arizona or outside of Nevada, like outside of Vegas type desert, not, a high desert, which I didn't even know that there was a difference until I had gone to California, which is one place I have been since I've been an adult. I've been to Los Angeles and I've been to New York as an adult person. So I've been a couple of places, but the reason that I was saying like 4 hours except for south is because I live like pretty much on the state line. And so if I go 4 hours south, I'm in Illinois. And there's really nothing of like particular note for me in Illinois that I really want to see. And that's sort of a joke between like Wisconsin and Illinois. They're always coming up here to enjoy our parks and recreation, but we don't really go down to Illinois because it's very flat. There's not a whole lot to, I mean, unless you're going into the city, into Chicago, but plenty of awesome things to do in Chicago. So I don't even think of going into Illinois as like being out of state because it's basically like right there. But we also have like, you know, little feuds about the way that people from Illinois drive because, again, living right on the state line, I have to deal with some of the worst out of state traffic from Illinois drivers, and they drive like horribly. They all drive like they have somewhere that they have to be like 20 minutes ago instead of just leaving on time like most people would do. We also have nicknames for them. I don't know if they have nicknames for us, but we definitely have nicknames for them. I'm sure it's like, you know, they call us like cheeseheads or whatever. But yeah, and then like going to places inside of Wisconsin, I go to a lot of places where there's hiking and a state park or whatever, because that's what Dustin and I really enjoy doing, is going hiking. And we'll do advanced trails, or we'll do you know, the kind of easy stuff. We'll do really, really advanced ones that, you know, they basically tell you turn around, don't do it if you're not able to get around easily. We like all kinds of trails. And so I've seen a lot of my state. There are a lot of really phenomenal state parks here. And so that's one thing I can say about my state, is that there's lots of beautiful things to see. And so as much as I would love to be able to go and, you know, get out of my state or get out of my country, I'm also just really contented to explore my own backyard, because there's a lot of people who, like I said, they've never even seen parts of their own state. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. You know, get out there and see what your state has to offer. Sometimes you'll be really surprised by what you go out and see, because there's a lot of things that I never would have known existed if I hadn't decided to do more traveling because of budget and things inside of my own state. We have a lot of really cool attractions in Wisconsin. It doesn't seem like, you know, Wisconsin would be one of those like, oh my God, I've got to get there and visit. But we've got, like, our state capital is absolutely gorgeous. It's modeled after the first White House that we had, like DC White House. It's modeled after the first White House, and it actually, just like our first White House, caught on fire. It's got a lot of history with that. We've got, like I said, some really phenomenal state parks that you can visit with just beautiful trails. I find that the having 4 seasons here is just some of my favorite stuff. But you'll see, especially in the summer or even late spring, where I'll be doing a lot more outdoors, and you'll start to see pictures of the places that we like to go hiking or day trips that we go on. We just kind of get in the car and decide, let's go somewhere. Let's just go somewhere and find some place to go hike. Because hiking is also a thing that doesn't, aside from a, a state park sticker, doesn't cost you any money. So it's something that we really enjoy, besides just, getting in the car and going for a drive. We really like to get out and see what the state has to offer for parks and things. So anyways, I didn't intend to talk about Wisconsin and traveling, but as it's getting to be nicer weather, I find that it's definitely on my mind. And getting out and doing something, definitely after winter, is very appealing. Because while I do go for walks around my neighborhood, and I walk the same basically 4 blocks or whatever, it's not the same as actually like getting out and going away. I did take Beans to the dog park today, and I also saw damage from that windstorm. The whole like right side or left side, excuse me, of the dog park, where they had a grove of trees, like you can see the actual wind shear that took out, basically like leveled a whole grove of trees. It's like maybe 10 feet up. All of the trees are either snapped, or they like literally blew over, or if they were young trees, they just bent over, and they're all just leveled at that particular height. It was crazy. I was like, I understand what wind shear is now. I've actually seen that wind can just straight up shear trees and whatever. I guess it took a bunch of roofs off of like houses or barns or things like that, or took siding right off of people's houses. Like, it was crazy wind. It did break my wind chime. I was not happy about that. Get a new wind chime at some point, but oh well, that's what happens. Anyways, but I'm looking forward to the weather getting nicer and being able to get out and see some more of this beautiful state that I live in, and show you guys some pretty pictures of that. I also in the warmer weather, when I go walking in the evenings and I'm on voice chat, like I'll take the people who are in voice chat with me and like essentially take them on a tour of the downtown area, some of the historical type places in our downtown. And I'll just sort of do like a video tour, which is a little fun. I enjoy doing it. Cute little tour of my town. Well, my downtown anyways. But yeah. So like I was saying earlier, stuff that I have been watching, I like I've said, I tend to watch a lot of true crime type shows, or unsolved or solved cold cases and things like that. I enjoy a good romantic comedy movie, or a good feel-good series, and because of my sort of previous pensive kind of, feelings or whatever, I had been kind of avoiding certain shows. I just kind of wanted to leave with a feel-good feeling, and so I'd been watching certain things on purpose, or avoiding certain things on purpose because of it. Well, one thing that I did learn is that some of the movies that I used to really enjoy are incredibly problematic. Like just in the ways that the characters interact with each other, or some of the things that they say out loud to each other is like, ugh, we used to think it was okay to talk to each other like that. Especially like late 90s. I mean, just anything before the late 90s, mid 2000s, like 2010s. Ugh, just really, really problematic. Like, I watched a movie called The Ugly Truth, which I hadn't seen in a while, and I just realized how awful that movie actually is. I mean, it was pretty bad before, but now with a lens of like looking back on it for like the just appropriateness of how to speak to another human being is kind of problematic. Now, granted, I can laugh at things with the best of them, but there are just certain things that are not maybe as funny as we thought they were. Which brings me to one of the programs that I watched, which I actually found really educational. I've mentioned before, and I don't mind mentioning again, that my son is transgendered, and there was a Netflix program that I watched called Disclosure, and it was a really fantastic like view on transgendered people in media, and sort of where some of our prejudgments come from because of the way that transgendered people are portrayed or have been portrayed in the media since, basically since film became a thing. It has Laverne Cox in it as a spokesperson. It has Zeke from Survivor. It has basically every trans person that you can think of, save for like Elliot Page. Save for Elliot Page or a few others, but really like very leading transgender people in media are in this particular program talking about transgendered media. Really just excellent, educational, informative, without like wagging a finger. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there is a way to speak about a topic where a person doesn't have to feel like somebody is speaking down to them or like shoving their opinions in somebody's faces. And that goes for politics, religion, just any belief. Truly, it was done in a very respectful and educational way. And so highly, highly, highly recommend. It's called Disclosure on Netflix if you'd like to learn a little bit more about where our biases around transgendered people come from. That was a really, really excellent program that I watched over the last week. And then another program that I watched was called The Innocence Files. And it's actually a series, like a limited series on Netflix about people who have been wrongfully accused and found guilty of crimes that they didn't commit, and kind of shows the faulty junk science that's used in cases against people. Sometimes it's simply, the officers just refuse to look at other suspects, or they've used specific methodology or junk science to prove somebody guilty, and then later using real approved methods of science, these people have been found that they were actually not guilty, and then received habeas corpus. And like, if you're not familiar with what habeas corpus is, it's like the actual definition is like a writ which requires a person who's under arrest to be brought before a judge or into court, and then it's usually to secure their release for, unless they're able to show lawful grounds to keep that person. That's habeas corpus. A lot of times, like, people who are seeking appeal, that's what they're seeking, is habeas corpus. But so often you see that, well, one, this should come as no surprise to anybody, but it's often people of color who are discriminated against the most as far as that goes. Some parts of that program, that particular series, made me really angry. I'm one of those people, I just want everyone to be treated fairly and the same. And unfortunately, we don't live in that world right now. And it can get really ugly when it comes to race or gender, and it's unfortunate. But I've learned that as long as I can continue to educate myself, and as long as I can continue to find a place to keep myself abreast of what is current and new, then I can make informed decisions when I vote, or I can make informed decisions when I buy things, or I can help to inform others without making it seem like I'm being judgmental, or there's that damn toilet again. But I can help to educate other people on things without making them feel like, like I'm judging them for past choices that they've made because they didn't know any better. And if you don't know any better, I can't hold it against you. I can only hold it against you if you don't know any better and you choose to be willfully ignorant, right? So I do try to watch things like that so that I can educate myself and then educate other people. But the Innocence Files on Netflix was really phenomenal, really great series, because it focuses around something called the Innocence Project, which is like they partner with the ACLU. Yes, the American Civil Liberties Union, to determine, whether or not something is a violation of civil rights and things like that. And just really awesome program, especially when, I like to watch true crime shows. I love to. And sometimes they don't get it right. And it's nice to know that, not often enough, but that some of the evidences that they're using in these cases, which are not actually good science, that people could be released on the use of these particular types of sciences. Like, I didn't realize that odontology, or the study of like bites and things like that in cases, are actually kind of junk science. That there was one guy, he had been responsible for all of these people being arrested because he wrote that indeed and without doubt these people were, the bite marks came from these people, and it turned out that they weren't even like actual human bite marks. They were crawfish bites, because it was showing these bites on these people, but like there's no way that this bite came from a person, because it would have only been top teeth. How do you bite somebody with just your top teeth? You can't do that. And so there was like 5 or 6 people that ended up being released based on this guy's science. And it's unfortunate that more more places don't realize that some of this stuff is junk science. You get somebody in who will speak for the prosecution oftentimes because, you know, they're friends with prosecutors or they're friends with police, and they'll come in as like professionals, or what am I trying to say? Like they're supposed to be these, you know, star experts. That's the word I was looking for. They're like these star experts on this, whatever this thing happens to be, like odontology or the study of teeth, and come to find out, like, it's a complete bunk method of actually determining whether or not somebody killed somebody. And some of these people had received life sentences or even the death sentence in some cases. Like one guy, they were able to get him off of death row. So really interesting program. Like I said, that one was called The Innocence Files. And those were just a couple that I highly, highly recommend because it was really, really good stuff. And then that's pretty much, you know, what I have for recommendations for TV for right now. I was able to get some cleaning and stuff done over in the garage with Dustin's dad, and so work will continue on pen making very soon here. We're like rearranging the entire garage, which is, as you can imagine, just the most fun. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Sorry, I'm looking for, I got 2 colors. Okay. So anyways, I've got 2 colors left on here to do, which shouldn't take me long at all. Let me, before I go ahead and start sticking down diamonds, I'm going to go ahead and pull the tarot card that we need to pull here. It's the top one. So let's see what we've got for our thought for the week. What do you guys think? Okay, we have, no, we had this one not long ago. I'll draw the next one just because we just had that one. Ooh. Look at Goucha? Gouacha? I don't know. Look at him. He's cute. I don't know what he is, but he's cute. I love how he's peeking through. Let's see what that actually says. The lettering on here is really hard to read. I'm like, Goucha? Gotcha? Maybe it's gotcha. It's 64. Let's find out. Are we close? There we go. Gotcha. Gotcha. Keywords are sudden shock, unexpected events, and rude awakenings. Uh-oh. Yeah-oh. Okay. Gotcha in a reading speaks to us of sudden, often violent breakdowns of existing structures, habits, patterns, and/or attitudes. When we become too tightly confined by our own self-imposed limitations, including the desire for comfort and security, Gotcha kindly breaks the structure restraining us, whether we think we want him to or not. On a soul level, we know this to be necessary, but in our everyday thoughts, we usually get pretty upset about it. However, breakdown can lead to breakthrough. This is liberation, and we often haven't a clue what to do with it. While we search for a way forward, although we may think we are simply searching for a way back to what we had before. Recommendation: do not try to pick up the pieces and put them back like they were. Consider instead what you would like to build in that part of your life, and this time remember to leave room for growth. You know, I'm sticking to my diamond painting. There we go. You know, I can 100% like get on board with that. I am the kind of person that before if it was the like disruption of a cycle or a pattern in my life, I hated it. It was so uncomfortable, and oftentimes we stagnate. We get stuck in these patterns, and then something has to come along and violently shake us like out of our stupor. You know what I mean? Like, and then when we put the pieces back together, we do often just try to put them back where they went before, because we figure that is what has to be right, because it's the way we've always done it. And so if there's something going on in your life right now, like I mentioned last week, I felt like something was coming, like something is coming. And it doesn't have to be bad necessarily. It doesn't necessarily have to be good, but that something is on the wind. And we just celebrated St. Patrick's Day. Well, I celebrated in the way that I celebrate, which is not really to celebrate much at all. But every year I go down to the river and I throw a few coins in there, and I kind of ask for, the sort of good or bad fortune or whatever. Obviously not usually bad fortune, but the sort of good fortune that I want to see for the remainder of the year as we move into Ostara, which Ostara is like spring, okay? So I'm celebrating in that sort of way, like spring is coming, that there's some new beginnings on the way and some breaking of old habits and patterns. And so I throw coins in, sort of my way of offering something to the world by way of material wealth, so that I can ask for a sort of ease in those transitions, and that I can maybe see my way to those patterns and those disruptions maybe not being so violent, because I can just change. I don't need it to be violent change. You know what I mean? I don't have to be shaken to my core in order to succeed. And neither do you. Yes, change sucks. Like there's nothing fun about it, especially when you're in patterns that you're so used to being in. It seems like you need to excuse me, that you need to stay in them because this is what works. Well, but it isn't always what works. And so let's hope that whatever change that you have coming, that you don't have to go through that violently, that you don't have to have this violent shock, that it can be just something that you're able to move through in the way that you move through everything, which is with hopefully your grace and your pride intact. But if it has to be done violently, then it'll be done violently. Let's hope not, though. Just accept the changes as they come, because sometimes breaking those patterns are the best thing that could ever happen to you. And so keep your ear to the ground for those sorts of changes that are coming, because it's spring and it's time. It's time to, out with the old and in with the new. And I welcome it. I'm terrified. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm terrified of what could be coming, but I don't have to be, because I know that, whatever you consider to be a higher power in your life has your back. So don't even worry about it. Look we finished the Arches National Park. Isn't it adorable? There is a little teeny gappy here. That's more about my placement than anything, though. The grid is fairly tight on a paint gem. It's just more or less whether you lay like crap, like I do sometimes. But isn't it cute? I love paint gems so much. All right, that is it for me. That is my hour. I'll send you the bill in the mail for your therapy today. I hope that wherever you are in this great, big, beautiful world, you guys, that you are having a glorious morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And hey, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Much love to you. I'll see you in a week. Bye-bye.